your center idea can be anything you want. So obviously, you're going to pick something you know really well. So, whatever part of the chapter you felt you knew the best, you're going to probably want to mind map that. And for example, McKenna really had a lot of information about Martin Luther. You could mind map Martin Luther, just him. You could pick anything that you could come up with enough branches for. So who has an idea of something we can mind map from chapter 5? We had the churches one, we had heresies, we had how Jesus gathered the church and the apostles, we had the Protestant Reformation, we had the Eastern Rite churches. I put some of the blogs on Moodle where I showed you where the book is. There's a chapter called the Eastern Rite blogs. I couldn't put them all up there, but some of them are up there. I embedded them, and I also put links so that if you wanted to, you could put the Eastern Rite churches in the center and do a mind map about them if you want to. So what do you guys want to mind map? Anybody have an idea? Yes. Yeah. The idea just has to be something from chapter 5.
Could it be like the Protestant Reformation and be like the Reformers and the things that made them?
Yeah, as long as it makes sense and it's consistent. You could do whatever you want. Yeah.
Earlier you mentioned something about having a note card or something.
Yeah, you can bring in a 3x5 note card to the test with notes or a sketch, anything you think you might need to help you make your mind map. Because this is one of those things, like I said, you could just come in and BS a paragraph. I don't think you can BS a mind map. It's got too many pieces to it, so I think it's helpful to plan ahead and bring in some notes if you need them. So anybody have an idea of something you want to map out for practice? The heresies? All right, so we're going to put the heresies in the middle. So what would be a good image for the heresies? Maybe, since the heresies are like essentially false teachings, we'll do like a little scroll. Did I orient this thing? Yeah, I did. All right, so how would you branch off? What would you do for your first level of branches? You only need 4. You can do all 5, but remember, you only need 4. So what's one of the heresies? All right. So we have Gnosticism. Make sure to color your branches. What would be another one? And if you need another heresies chart, I have them over there on the table. So we have Arianism. Nestorianism? That's the N one. And the idea of the branches, they're supposed to be bigger at the whoa, this is the part that's messed up. They're supposed to be bigger as they branch off because it's supposed to look like a neuron. The idea behind mind mapping is you map it the way your brain actually physiologically looks, and for some reason it makes your brain remember stuff better. So Nestorianism, what's one more heresy? All right, Monophysitism. And this is another reason why you kind of have to plan things out. Notice my monophysitism doesn't line up with my branch. They're supposed to kind of line up with the branches and, fit. So monophysitism. Now, what would you guys do for the next two branches? The date, all right. So what's the date for Gnosticism? All right. All right. What else would you put for your second branch on Gnosticism? Okay, so the meaning. So what did Gnostics teach? Okay, so Jesus is divine, but the main thing with them is the reason why they're heretical isn't that they said he was divine, it's because they said he wasn't human, right? So how about we put Jesus is not human. So, and again, notice how my mind map's getting kind of funky. You're going to get a big piece of paper. So I have to kind of fit it here. All right, so we got plenty for Gnosticism. What about Arianism? Well, Gnostics said that Jesus, I'm sorry, the smartboard is kind of messed up over here. The Arians said Jesus was not equal to God. So they ultimately kind of came up on the side that Jesus wasn't divine. And what would be their date? 4th century. All right. What about the Nestorians? Okay, so 5th century. And what did they teach? And your branches should all kind of connect. What did the Nestorians teach? Right, they were the double rainbow guys, right? So they taught that Jesus was divine and human, but separate. And so you're not going to put too much writing on a mind map. The way that you're being assessed is your ability to build the hierarchy. And finally, monophysitism. So what would be the date for monophysitism? So 6th and 7th. And again, you don't want to do that on your mind map. I try to plan out how you're going to do your branches. Obviously, I'm not very good at visual learning. And what did monophysitism teach? Right. They were, so Jesus, again, is not human. So you could put Jesus is only divine or Jesus is not human. So the monophysites taught that they're kind of interesting. They said that when the human nature and the divine nature combined, the divine nature basically wiped out the human nature. So you could do the heresies. We still have a few minutes. You want to do, and then put one picture for each of these. So for the Nestorians, you could put like a double rainbow. For the Arians, you could put like St. Nicholas punching out Arius, the Council of Nicaea. Another branch you could do was you could have done the councils, which council dealt with which heresies. You could have done a branch that had sort of the leaders for each heresy. For Gnostics, there's not really one identified leader. You might put, the Nag Hammadi Gospels or something. All right, you want to do another idea with the time we have left? Sure. You want smartboard? Socrative you should be able to get into right now. All right, so let's do, my mouse is weird. Let's do smartboard. Yes. Yeah. No. Whoops. All right, let me turn this